really can't afford losing a Norwood. For somebody that has a big forehead naturally, as soon as you go up in one Norwood, it's like going up two Norwoods, right? He has increased the density overall of his scalp, and this was his baseline. You know, let's keep looking. That's pretty fucking brutal, man. Oh wow, holy shit. Okay, Hey guys, before we continue this video, I would like to mention that we now have liposomal minoxidil sulfate on my website, folligens.com, folligenz.com, and if the order queue is available and open, you can order it there. We're running it as a cosmetic. There are other sort of botanicals inside of this particular topical that are pretty helpful when it comes to conditioning the hair. So that's at folligens.com, folligenz.com. That's folligenz.com. Go check it out and maybe even try it out. See you there. Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another hair progress review video. Today we're going to be looking at the Trestless subreddit as always, and we're looking at this particular user. His name is Hairver, kind of like forever, for Hairver. In any case, the title of his post is, quote, 0.5 milligram Dutasteride and 5 milligram oral minoxidil for almost 8 months, unquote. So we'll look at his description of what he's been dealing with, but let's have a look at the progress, right? So right away, yeah, as he says, 5 head gang. And guys, if you were born with a naturally high hairline, you really can't afford, trust me, I know, I was born with a big forehead, but you really can't afford losing a Norwood. For somebody that has a big forehead naturally, as soon as you go up in one Norwood, it's like going up 2 Norwoods, right? Your Norwood 1 looks different from the guy with a normal forehead. So your Norwood 1, if you have a 5 head or whatever, is probably like a Norwood 2 in appearance, or 2.5 in appearance. So take that from somebody like me who has a big forehead, naturally speaking. And so does this guy, right? I can tell he probably has a big forehead, naturally speaking. Right down the midsection over here, it's less dense. I know it's kind of hard because he has that curly afro hair, right? But if you look over here on the sides, there's clearly much more hair than there is in the midsection, right? Look at that. Over here on the sides, there's more hair, and then over here, obviously the hairline's miniaturized, but the midsection isn't as dense. You can tell there isn't as much coverage. It's not as plumpy as the sides are. And that's due to, obviously, androgenetic alopecia. So let's have a look at what he says about his first picture. He says over here, quote, the first picture is from October 30th, 2024, after fully picking, which is fully combing, same thing. He says the second picture is from yesterday after casually finger combing my scalp here and there. The third picture is from yesterday as well after casually finger combing my scalp here and there. Okay, so the first picture over here, he combed his hair out, right? So again, you're not going to get any sort of Norwood frauding. This is how it looks because he has lost a lot of hair in his midsection and hairline, right? Now, going on to the second picture, and as you can see, he's made a tremendous amount of progress. He has increased the density overall of his scalp, right? There's probably some, definitely some density improvement in his midsection. But even the length of his hair, he's having new curls in his midsection that he didn't have before. And that's probably because of the suppression of scalp DHT with the oral Dutasteride, but also the oral minoxidil is extending the anagen phase. It's, he's probably a really good responder to minoxidil overall. So it's really making the anagen cycle, the hair growth cycle, go into overdrive to the point where it's kind of reviving those dying hair follicles. So this is a really good improvement from baseline right away. Let's go on to the next picture. Yeah, we can see over here, just another view, right? Very good improvement. Overall, very good density and coverage because of the curls too, right? Remember, a lot of your appearance and improvement of your hair also is contributed to how your hair maintains coverage. If you have curly hair, and this guy has like an afro and some curls going on too, you're able to get some substantial coverage, right? And it looks like he has some really good density too in his midsection. So that oral minoxidil dutasteride combination really did the job for him. Because if he were to just grow his hair out over here, he wouldn't get this sort of like coverage improvement because the density in the midsection is very poor. Very, very poor. Another thing to take into consideration is the fact that, yes, this guy is using flash. Guys, if you want to see any sort of gaps in your hair, any sort of low density areas, right? Please, and it's hard to do this. Trust me, I've done it before. Please go into a dark room or some room with like very low light. Use your phone's flash and point it at your scalp and take that picture because that will show you the areas that are lacking. So if you're able to improve in the harshest lighting conditions, that shows that your treatment is working. So again, it's not overall like representative of how your hair would look typically, right? But if you really want to see that improvement, put your hair in the worst lighting conditions and take those photos over time. And if you're seeing improvements there, then certainly in normal lighting conditions, you're going to obviously be experiencing even more benefit. So this guy overall has improved from his baseline tremendously. Look at that. Very, very good coverage. Very, very good improvement. Let's go on to the next picture. So this was his crown. Holy crap. Yeah, no, so that makes sense, right? So let's pair these photos here and here, pretty much from the same day. His baseline, right? You can see that his crown has been eaten away by the Norwood Reaper. Yeah, another picture of his crown and midsection, perhaps. Yeah, look at that. Wow. I mean, you can still see that there are hairs, right? The hair follicles are still metabolically active, but they're only producing like, one hair per follicle, which is not normal for a person of this sort of hair type, especially in the midsection of your scalp and crown area. And the hairs that are being produced are very wispy. So, in this midsection crown area, he definitely had a tremendous amount of issues. Yeah, look at that. Shit. Yeah, certainly not the best. Yeah, we're getting more and more angles. Wow. That is crazy. So actually, this is probably his baseline. It seems this was his baseline. So it was even worse. Damn, I'm reacting this. This is a truly a natural reaction because I didn't get through the camera roll, so I'm kind of shocked. So is this his improvement over here, and this was his baseline? Sheesh. Yeah, I guess let's keep looking. That's pretty fucking brutal, man. Oh wow. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to say, guys. Like, you see it over here. I'm speechless because of how crazy the overall, like, crown and midsection improved, especially when he was at this baseline beforehand. Look at that. Look how crazy that was. Oh, shit. Absolutely awful. Not to be rude, but this was a really, really bad spot to be in. So for him to go from here all the way to here, I mean, you can still see some, like, small bit of scalp here and there, but that is a real improvement. That's an actual improvement. And look at this over here, right? It just gets better. Good improvement, good density, good coverage. It's not simply him growing his hair out. I hate when people say that. Oh, he just grew his hair out. Yeah, if he grew his fucking hair out, this is him growing his hair out over here, right? This is a baseline picture. What the hell is going on in the scalp? What kind of hair loss is this, right? Like, look at this. This is severe androgenetic alopecia that he had. Okay, so this is a nice angle because you can see overall like how his hair is growing, right? So this top-down view, some people, you can kind of see, okay, do they have as much hair on the top as they do on the sides? Are things kind of even? And I'm assuming this is his baseline from when he was like over here, right? Um, so yeah, as you can see, the sides of his scalp, the sides of his head have more density, that it grows longer than the midsection, particularly from this area. Now, this isn't a good sort of marker to use if you have a pretty high hairline, right? Naturally speaking, but it's kind of a good way to tell if the top of your scalp is growing evenly with the sides, depending on your hairstyle. So let's look at the next picture. Yep, it looks like it is, right? So after treatment, he's having that sort of full, even improvement, right? His midsection caught up in growth with the sides of his scalp. Phenomenal. Okay, this is another angle. Pretty harsh, pretty brutal kind of look to his hairline area. Again, similar to me, I was born with a big forehead, so any sort of slight Norwood recession is pretty fucked up. But let's look at his improvement, right? This is a baseline. And look at that. Like, he recovered a Norwood scale. Again, he has a big forehead, naturally speaking, but that slight improvement in his Norwood made the difference. And it's also overall the midsection just growing, at the same length and same rate as the side of his, the sides of his scalp. He has that sort of even look. So overall, guys, this is the importance of treatment. And this guy had a really good recovery. So props on for Herver for making this sort of improvement. Not sort of improvement, this definite improvement with 0.5 milligram dutasteride and 5 milligram oral minoxidil for 8 months, guys. That's crazy. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get this sort of improvement, but, when I look at the comments sometimes, some people don't even want to try. And guys, you have to try. Now, that being said, I just started a company called Folligens, Folligenz, and we are selling liposomal minoxidil sulfate. So you can go check it out there. We're running it as a cosmetic for fuller looking hair. Right now, for the 10% concentration, there's only 52 in stock at the time of recording this video. If it goes out of stock, there will be a notification form where you can enter in your email, and when we go back in stock, you will be able to get a notification so you can purchase it. There's a 5% concentration over here. There's only 130 out of 300 that's currently in stock. So if it's active, if it's live, if it's still there in stock, certainly go check it out and maybe even try it out. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.